Guys, how's everybody doing? It has been a while since I posted, and there's been a lot going on, and I'll get into that, I'm sure, as we talk. I'm in a new setup, so it's going to take me a while to get used to things, so please bear with me as I learn new camera settings and locations and everything like that. Today, I was going to work on these cards for you. Now, I'm thinking about starting a new playlist called Adrian's on the Case. And it's just a play on words because I would be casing other people's cards and then doing my own version of it. And not necessarily exactly the same, but I think it'd be fun. So comment below and let me know what you think. Today, though, I am making these two cards, and this very sweet little card here is super simple to make, and this super sweet card here is made from the negative space of this card. So let me put these aside and I'll show you what I'm going to be working with. So I have with me today is a Stampin' Up stamp set, but you do not have to use this stamp set, always have the juices going. But I'm using the Peaceful Poinsettia, and I had it here. I still have it here. And then I am using the Detailed Poinsettia Thinlits, and this is just beautiful. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, I love it, and I do love it, and I had to get it. And this comes with 2 additional dies, which are these 2 here, and these are the 2 dies that I was working with today. And from this stamp set, we are going to be using Christmas Wishes and May This Season Be Filled with Peace. So, both of these cards are A2 size cards. For the first card, I have a side folding 1 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5. Piece of scrap yellow, and then decreasing layers. So this black is 5 1/4 by 4 1/4 by 5.5. This is 1/8 smaller. Did I do 1/8? Did I do 1/4? Handy dandy ruler. This is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then this would be 5 1/4 by 4. So I went down by 8ths in order to get the layers. And then the second card is again just the other half of that paper. So 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5. And then I have 2 layers for this one. I have the green layer, which is 5.5 by 4 1/4. And then I have the black layer, which I know it's going to sound strange, but it is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I only went down 1/8 size, and that will make sense in a little bit. So I tell you all these measurements now, not for you to memorize it all, but because this project goes way easier if you have all the pieces together. I also just have a circular punch. I'm guesstimating it's about 1/4 inch. It doesn't really say. And that is for the yellow that I use in the centerpiece here. So, first things first. This whole thing comes together when we first die cut this beautiful piece right here. So what I've done is I've taken a corner the corner thinlet and then the poinsettia thinlet, and I've taped them together because I did 10 of these cards, which meant I did 10 of the other cards because I had 10 negative spaces. So it just was much easier for me to just get this kind of laid out and tape the thinlets together, because where this ends up isn't as important. I just kind of like a little bit of an edge here. And then I run this through the die machine. And I'm not going to pull my big kick into the camera because you guys all know how to use a die cut. So I'm just going to run this through my machine real quick, and then I'll bring it right back out. With any luck, I fast forwarded through that portion. Now, important part, when you get this out, flip it over while the pieces are still together. And any pieces that fall off, like mine did, y'all, let me tell you. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I found it. Let me tell you guys, this has been a project that I have. You know how I have hot mess moments? I've had me a few hot mess moments. So very carefully, to the best of your ability, without disrupting too much of what's in the framelit, remove the die cut. Now, don't you know that when I did this before, hardly any of this stuff moved. But because I'm on camera, every bit of it's going to move. And you know what? That's okay. I am not going to lose any sleep over it. As May would say, I'm just not going to stress over it. And there's just no reason to stress over it. So, 2 additional tools that are fantastically handy are a quick pick or jewel stick or anything like that, and an additional pokey tool, just to kind of help wrangle these pieces back into their homes. So let me get that piece in. There it is. It was, oh my, did you guys see that? It hid well. Okay. So we will be using that again. Now what I did, and this is completely up to you how you do it, I kind of liked that it hung off the edge here. You'll see when I show you some of the other cards that I made that one of them I did differently. I'll just pull that out. There's no reason to not. So here are the other 9 cards. And on this one, as you can see, I laid it differently. I didn't lay it to where it was hanging off the edge, and then I just put Christmas wishes at a different place. But it's still just as beautiful. So I just was not putting you through watching me do this 10 times. So you're just going to watch me do it once, but know that the easiest thing to do is to really just do this one at a time, at least through this part. Just get through all 10 cards or 5 cards or however you're going to make, and then go from there. I also just kind of double check. Okay, so now it's glue time. And what I did is, keeping everything in the dies, I just started to lay out some glue. Now here, quit squeezing, Adrian. Here I kind of put the glue a little bit thicker, and that's why I'm doing this first, because it won't really dry before I get to the next piece. So, and I will probably fast forward through all of this because it's just applying glue to paper. So, no particular glue here. I just have school glue in a fine tip applicator. Okay, So that wasn't hard. And as you can see, there's a piece. Oh, I found it. I was going to say there's a piece right here that's missing, and I'm just not going to stress about it. But then I came across it, so I'll take just a skinny second. So I say watch this be like forever and a day, but that's okay. You know why? I'm in my craft room. I'm making a card. If this isn't a happy time, then why am I in here? You know what I'm saying? Oh, dear God. Can you guys read it? You're going to hear it. It's going to say hot mess moment all across the screen. I'm just going to put this back in, because I'm not going to stress over it. Alright, I'm back. So I didn't stress over it, but I was not going to make you guys watch me do that. This is the hardest portion of this 2 cards, 1 cut thing. And you don't even have to do this part of it, but I liked it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this corner and we're just going to match it up over here, kind of lining up the metal die cut, because obviously it's going to be hard to center it otherwise. And then, good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, we should be able to just pick up the whole thing and gently turn it over. And if we need to do any zhuzhing, we can. But I really don't worry too much about how it places. I just worry that it does place. And then using this, you're just going to poke through each and every one of these holes. Now, it really isn't that hard. I did try using the piercing mat to see if I would get more give with it, but really just doing this against the table is the best way, because when you use the piercing mat, you can't really put the force on each and every one of these little pieces of paper that you need in order to get the glue to adhere to the card. So, and it doesn't matter how well you do this, it's going to be a couple of pieces that just won't come out. And it's very easy to just line back up and figure out where these pieces go. It's not a problem. And you just keep going. It looks way worse than it is. And the fact that I'm doing it makes it way harder than it actually is. Because I promise you guys would have a much easier way. I do not have the double adhesive paper, but that might be another way. I think, what is it called? Stick it or what have you. That might be another way that's a little bit easier. So then I just kind of start by picking up a corner. I could tell that these were not releasing, so I did that. I can tell that these are not releasing because you'll see the red papers, or green or purple or whatever color paper you so desire. So I can already tell that these are not releasing. And some of the glue, because I had to go fishing for parts, may have come up. See, it's not half bad. I got that. So here's how you line it up. You have this floor piece is the easiest way I have found. And I just line up the floral pieces. And then I try my best to remember which pieces didn't come out, and then I'll repoke them. So, like I said, I have done this 10 times already. So my tape is not holding up. And some of these pieces, you can just pull them out, add a spot of glue. It'll be very easy to tell where it goes, because you have that die piece right there. That's telling you. Isn't that so funny? This wanted to come out before I even set glue on it, and now it didn't come out. I am telling you the truth. I mean, I am telling you the truth, guys. I never had more than just 2 or 3 pieces stick on me when I was doing these last 10. And I knew that something would happen because it's not one of my videos if something doesn't happen. But it really wasn't this hard. You are truly just getting a hot mess agent moment. So I'm going to quit talking for a second and get these pieces out and glued down, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, we are back. So, here's the 2 pieces I was telling you about. 10 times, well actually 11 if you consider the fact that I did the designer. So 11 times is as many times you can washi this together. But you can see it fits right in here. Or you can do it separately. This is a beautiful die set. So that's the side. I went ahead and I fished all of these out. And I used this to kind of help me out. And guys, it's not perfect. But I don't do perfect. I don't do perfect. And those of you who have watched my channel, you know I don't do perfect. Found my missing circle. I'm going to take a second to stick that on there. So, I was like, I'm not worrying about it. It is a circle. I am not worrying about it. So I have another little circle here. I'm not sure where that goes, but I know where I'm going to put it. I want it right here. And that's the cool thing is I'm not going to send like both of these cards to the same person. 2 different people are getting these cards. They are never going to know. Hey, wait a second. She didn't piece my poinsettia together right. That girl, they won't even know where I got the die set from. And those who do will just love that I did something anyway because they will have been working with this. Alright, so normally this is super, super, super simple to do. I don't know why I made it difficult, but I just did. And there we go. I'm going to set this off to dry. And now we will work with this piece. So this is the card that we're going to focus on right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this little hole punch and get me a center. Done with that. Flip this over. You guys have no idea how many times today I forgot to just simply flip this over. And the first thing I'm going to do is just put this in the center so that my poinsettia will have yellow dots. And you might vaguely see it lap over it. I don't worry about that. That is just simply not something I feel called to worry about. Now, this part is kind of important. Go around with the glue the flower as best as you can. And I do kind of on some of these bigger ones here, I'll put a little dot. And if some of it sticks up, you'll be able to do that. And then once you've done that, once you've gone around all of these, because that's what's going to hold it, then hit the rest of it. Now, as you guys might have seen in my last video, or one of my last videos, I just used school glue, and I have been using this a lot, so it's kind of, it and my hands today are kind of just done. I have to go down the side. Okay, but it works very well. And then simply put that on. Now, I do prefer glue when I'm doing projects like this over tape because it gives me just that second that I need to help get everything lined up. And if you forgot to put glue under your center like I did, just a little dollop will do it. Boom. I did that about half the time, so 5 cards I did that. Okay. So now I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. You see how I was saying that if a little piece comes up, you'll see it, and you just a little bit of glue, pop it down. Alright, so now coming back to this card, and I am working both of them at the same time, and I know that that's gotta seem crazy. Keep in mind, when I was doing this as a mass project, each of these other 9 cards had the time span of 9 other cards to kind of sit and set up and everything else that they were going to do. So ideally, I would want to give this a little bit more time to set up, but it will be fine. Now with this one, I brought it all the way to the edge. So I'm just going to sit it up like this, get it all the way to the edge, and I'm just really looking at the top and the bottom for my spacing. I kind of like that. I've never done that before, and this was kind of my out-of-the-box thing. And see, once you start putting that pop of green behind it, it automatically starts just looking better and better and better and better. Okay, so this is the point where I decided that I was going to do the embossing. And you do not have to emboss. You can just use an ink right here. But I had the powders to emboss, so I decided I wanted to. So for the black, I'm doing a gold, and for the red, I'm doing the black. So it'll come out like this. And again, I kind of did all the reds at one time, and then I did all the blacks at one time. I wasn't flipping back and forth, but I'm kind of streamlining this for you a little bit. So first things first, make sure that you use your buddy, your embossing buddy. And then you'll want a embossing ink. So I don't have a preference for an embossing ink. As a matter of fact, I'm not 100% sure that this isn't glycerin. Lindsay, the frugal crafter gave me that. Okay, and I'm just going to very quickly just put the Christmas wishes on each of them. Being mindful not to touch the one that I just done. There we go. Okay, so now with this gold, I'm going to start with the gold first, because if I do cross-contaminate, I'd rather have gold in my black than black in my gold. This gold has this funky thing where it leaves a lot of dust behind. I don't know why. So when I am working with my embossing powders, especially the gold one here, A, use a coffee filter. B, have a brush handy. So that, I don't know if you can see it, but there's just a lot of gold flaking. And it doesn't matter how much powder I put on this, it's just going to have a lot of gold flaking. Now, it doesn't look like much now, but when that heat hits it, it will look very good. Okay, and now moving on to the red. And the cool thing about embossing powders, or embossing ink, is that they stay wet for a really long time. There we go. I can live with that. I can live with that. So again, just funnel this back into my bottle here. Clean up my mess a little bit here. So normally speaking, a lot of people are not huge fans of embossing with black ink or black powder. It doesn't bother me. I've had quite a bit of luck with that. But you can always use black ink and clear embossing powder. Alright, a little noise. There we go. Alright, so as you can see, it is not perfectly done, but it doesn't have to be perfectly done. If you have friends that are going to get mad at you because your card that you gave them is not perfect, you need new friends. And if you're worried about whether a card is good enough for a family member to receive, it is. Even if it's not perfect, it is good enough for a family member to receive. Because if you have to worry about it, then, you know, we all have that family member that we worry about whether or not everything is just perfect. And we only deal with them during those times that we have to worry about. Oh, they're not going to care. So there we go. So I've let it cool off a little bit. And Swifter cloth just takes all that embossing powder off. And even though these are not perfect, I would still use them. I have no problem whatsoever using these. Okay. So next thing is we're going to back this one onto a black mat. I just found that extra layer of black for this card just really helped it to pop a little bit more. It just kind of gave it more of that finished look. I have got to refill my glue bottle soon. And because I have everything already cutting out, that is easy peasy. And again, because I used glue, I have a second to kind of line everything up. Now, what you can do is put a box on it. Put a box on both of them. Let it set. Because now we're going to take our attention to here. So, for the inside, I have, may this season be filled with peace. This year, guys, I just feel like peace is the one thing in my life that I am craving more and more and more. This has been a hard year on me personally. And I struggle to say that out loud because I know that my family watches my videos, and the last thing I want them to do is to feel bad or to feel guilty or anything. But at the same time, they know. They know. They've watched me go through it. But this has just been a very hard year for me. And peace has been my prayer. So I thought it might be other people's as well. I'm just using a dye black ink. This is one of the ink cubes my daughter gave me last year for Christmas. And you could use VersaFine. You could use, it could be a dye ink. It doesn't have to be a pigment ink. You could use whatever you want to. This is your card. So keeping in mind that one is a side folding card and one is a top folding card. As all of my fronts were sitting underneath something much heavier than this, I started doing my stamping. How much do you guys want to bet that there was a hot mess moment? You know there was. You know there was. I wouldn't even be asking you if there wasn't a hot mess moment. I want to take a second to clean my stamps because I just do not like to leave my stamps dirty. One for wet, one for dry. And then I can put those away. Okay, so I was just stamping away, stamping away, getting all of my insides done, not paying a lick of attention, and I was just stamping away. And I stamped the inside of this card, not paying any attention that it needed to be this way. That is not a problem. We have a fix for that. We're simply going to unfold it. This is now my front. I prematurely cleaned my stamp. That's okay, I'll clean it again. And now I can just ink up and stamp the inside of my card. So, making sure I have that to the front. And boom, it is fixed. There we go. Only because it's a pigment ink. I like to just get that off quickly when I'm done. There we go. Okay. So, while I'm here, I might as well take the time to mount this one, because I didn't mount it. I have no idea how long this video is so far. Silly me said, oh, you can get this video out in 20 minutes. 2 cards in 20 minutes. That kind of reminds me of Brandy. Does anybody watch Brandy Cox, Brandy Cards? She does this thing. 20 cards or 10 cards in 20 minutes. I'm 20 minutes, 2 cards. There we go. So, that was almost a mistake. I put my glue down first, but that's okay. That is okay. So, let's see how these are doing. These are fine. Now, I'm not going to worry about the fact that they're a little bit warped because I think something just flew off. As you adhere them to another card, the card base here, that's going to help flatten it out. And one of the reasons why I went ahead and did one layer of stacking before I embossed was because I wanted to have some extra support to hold up to that heat. So this takes up the full front of the card, and so that makes it so easy to line up. No white borders, and voila, one is done. So I'll do this other one. So you see, once you get to the point that you're doing the assembly line, this goes so quickly. It really does. The only part that takes any real time is the gluing of the negative pieces in to the back of the black. That's really the only part, and it really wasn't that bad. I worked on cards today for, I don't know, I think I'm at hour 5 right now. And I'm just going to lay something heavy on these to help it sit down. And in the 5 hours, I managed to get everything, all my paperwork cut and organized. And I got 18 of the 20 cards done. And I'm currently videotaping as I do 2 more cards to get you 20. So I don't feel that that is terribly bad. So when this is all said and done, I will have 22 cards because I have my 2 originals that I used to kind of map everything out. Alright, so give that a firm press. Again, put it under something heavy because that is a lot of paper that you are holding down into one spot. Okay. And my mess is even halfway cleaned up. And so, oh, somebody just lost a leaf, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. So, that is how you can do these. So, and it's just a very simple, very quick, very pretty card once you get done. And I'm sitting here with 20 cards ready for Christmas. So I do like to I didn't think I did. I was rushing with my glue, so normally when you're doing this layer you might have to put a little bit extra glue down, but I'm just gonna hold that there. So there you go. 20 beautiful cards using both the positive and the negative, and they're not all the same, but they are all beautiful. And this embossing powder, I don't know why. This embossing powder just gave me a hard time. So, tell me what you think about these cards, and I hope that everybody is glad that I'm back. So, like I said, I'm in a new setup. My mom went into assisted living, so that's a blessing. But I just had to get used to some new stuff and get some things, you know, figured out. So, but she is doing wonderful. She is doing wonderful, and I am doing better. And here you go. So comment below, which one do you like the best? Do you like the red one or the black one? Would you take the time to use the negative space if you were doing this this type of thing? And what do you think about Adrian on the case? With me sharing the inspiration video and then sharing how I did it. And just keep in mind, just because I did this with this stamp set, you are not limited to this. Go through your stamp sets, especially your or your die sets, especially your intricate ones. You can have a blast. Alright guys, I have taken up enough of your time. I hope everybody is doing well, and I will see you guys later. Bye.